Okay, so the next topic in section 1.5 is to solve equations with absolute values in them. So let's do a little bit of groundwork with a relatively simple one, and then we'll just continue to apply that same idea as we move forward. So the first thing we need to consider is what exactly is the meaning of absolute value. And the meaning is that it's a distance, a number is from 0. So when I'm talking about something like the absolute value of, let's say, 5, I'm basically asking myself, well, how far is 5 away from 0? And of course, if I take a look at my number line, right here's 0, somewhere down the line is 5. So how far is 5 away from 0? Well, it's 5 units away. And that's why when we look at the absolute value of -5 is the opposite of 5, but its distance from 0 is the same. It is also 5 units away. So the absolute value is not an opposite. Unfortunately, that's how people think of it, especially since we're talking about opposites here. But by definition, it's actually a distance you are from 0. And that is why the absolute value of 5 is 5, and why the absolute value of -5 is 5. It has the same distance from 0. And so when we're going to solve absolute value equations, like the absolute value of x is equal to 8, we're again trying to find values of x, right? What can I input in here that when I put it in makes the equation true? And so we kind of get a feel then, if we watch what happened here, is that there's two potential answers, right? X could be -8 or x can be +8, because again, if I drew a number line, here's 0, +8's over here, -8's over there, and they are both, right, 8 units away from 0. So and you can even check it, right? If the absolute value of -8 is 8, and the absolute value of 8 is 8. So the moral of the story is when we're solving equations with absolute values, since we're invoking a distance away from 0, in all these cases, we have to open ourselves up to the possibility that there's going to be a plus-minus answer, right? Because there's two ways that I can talk about a distance from 0, from the positive side and the negative side. And so we're going to have, right off the bat, the potential for two different answers. Of course, there's always the concept of maybe we have an extraneous situation going on, which we always have to be aware of, as we've seen as we've solved some rational and radical equations. So that's still going to kind of play a role in our examples here. But hopefully that lays the groundwork. So when I'm solving something like the absolute value of x equals to 5, right, we're going to basically rewrite this into what it means, right? That means that x is either -5 or x is either +5. And so the absolute value gets rewritten as two potential things that it can be. My distance is either on the negative side, so I'm at -5, or my distance is on the positive side, so I'm at +5. So let me kind of go around here. This one's, I'm adding a little bit here because what's inside the absolute value is x plus 3. But forget about what's inside of here for a moment, right? Its absolute value, whatever I have, right, means that its distance is equal to 7. So what are the possibilities? What's my rewrite? Well, maybe the x plus 3 is -7, or maybe the x plus 3 is +7. And again, I'm being consistent with my last couple of examples. Whatever's inside here, its distance from 0 can be from the negative or the positive side. Here we were 8 units away, here we were 5 units away, and here we were 7 units away from 0. So whatever's inside here, the possibilities is maybe this is equal to -7, therefore I'm, right, so there's my number line. So maybe it's this number, or maybe it's this number, right? Either way, we're going to get our value. And so if we subtract 3 from both sides, we get an answer of x equals -10. If we subtract 3 from over here, we get +4. Easy to check. If I put a -10 in here, right, we end up with the absolute value of -7, which is 7. If I put a 4 in there, 4 plus 3 is 7, and its absolute value is 7. So these are the two values, these are the two inputs, -10 and 4, that solve the equation x plus 3, absolute value of x plus 3 is equal to 7. So let me kind of keep going in a circle. D is very similar. Again, whatever's inside here, its distance is 1. So what are the possibilities? Well, maybe x minus 2 is -1, or maybe x minus 2 is positive 1. So there's the rewrite, if you would. The absolute value is a distance from 0. My distance is 1. So what are the possibilities? Maybe we're at negative 1, maybe we're at 1. Whatever's inside there, that's what it has to equal to. Adding 2 to both sides, we get an answer of 1. Adding 2 to both sides here, we get an answer of 3. And again, easy to check. 1 take away negative 2 would give us negative 1. So that's true statement. 3 minus 2 is 1, which is a true statement. So these are the two values that make that equation true. And then we just keep on going. Let me come back all the way to b because this is a little nuanced. We're talking about solving the absolute value of x equals negative 3. And this side, if we really think about it, right, we don't even have to do any work. There has to be no solution here because we know no matter what I put inside here, right, whether it's a positive or negative number, its distance from 0 is always going to be positive, and I have it equal to something that's negative. And that just can't be done, right? So something always positive equaling something negative, it's a no-go. So there's no way around that. So that one has no solution. We have to be, again, absolute value being a distance is always going to be positive. So notice over here, my absolute value is equal to something positive. I can keep going forward. Here, the absolute value is equal to something positive. I can keep moving forward with my story. Here is equal to something positive, and I can keep going forward with my story. So there's basically the nuts and bolts on how we solve an absolute value equation. Looking at my timer, we're almost at about 7 minutes. So let me pause there for a moment, and we'll take a look at the next stanza in a new video. All right, I'll talk to you guys then.